It's nostalgia. That's what's so interesting about cars, really. It's not just the specification or who made them. It's really about the individual story behind that car.
Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of Talking Classics. Now we are in a different venue today. We are at the Helmingham Hall Festival of Classic and Sports Cars. Now it has been very exciting getting ready for this event because we are here in a different capacity this year. We come nearly every single year, but this year we are actually sponsors. There's so much going on here. There's so many cars. I feel like this festival gets bigger and bigger each year. I mean, I heard already, did you already have a little search to see if there's any new competition cars to buy?
Well, we've bought one this morning. So a gentleman came up to us and said, I'm not going to say what it is, he's got a car here, it's for sale. So we went over and had a look at it. I think he was quite surprised because we had a look at it, looked over it and said, yeah, right, we'll have that. So yeah, what is it now? 10 o'clock? It's not, 20 past 10.
20 past 10 and it starts at 10 o'clock and you've already got a car.
It's a nice one as well. I think it'll be a good competition car.
Now there is lots of classic car festivals going on around England at the moment in the summer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Luckily today it is nice and dry. I wouldn't say it's too sunny. It's been a bit soggy this morning, but it's nice and dry. Thank goodness it wasn't yesterday because it was absolutely tipping it down yesterday. But Craig has recently been to some other festivals as well, haven't you? You went to the Festival of Speed.
So there's pretty much one every weekend now, but probably one of the big go-to ones is Goodwood Festival of Speed. I've not been before, so I go to Revival, I go to Members Meet, and this is the first year that I actually got to go to Festival of Speed. It's really good. It's very different to the others. The others are very much about the racing, whereas Festival of Speed is more displays, all of the new cars, the supercars, the hypercars. But yeah, it's really good to see, and that was a couple of weeks ago, so we went along to that.
Amazing, and what we'd love to do now is show you Craig's time at the Festival of Speed. was Craig's time at the Festival of Speed. Now, that looked like there was some very exciting sports cars there, Craig.
Do you know, the one key thing for me, I think, was Singer Porsche. I'd never seen Singer Porsche before, and I'd never seen the work that they do. Absolutely unbelievable. So 75 years of Porsche was the celebration of this year, but standout for me was Singer Porsche and what they can do. I mean, even the carry cases that they bring the products in, you know, if they bring a bumper, they'll custom make a carry case for the bumper. it was just unreal as a company.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that's really good.
I mean, so much goes into the planning and organisation of these classic car shows. So, Lily, what has it taken us to get here today?
So the logistics of getting all the cars here, obviously we have to trailer some of them because there are some really precious cars, or perhaps there might be something that is still waiting for some restoration. So lots has to come on a trailer, and then some we can drive over here, the competition cars and things like that. And then just the logistics of getting our team together. So we have some of our promotional team that come along and they can talk to people, but we also bring along Tom, who's one of our technicians and our driver, and then Brian in the trim shop as well. So there's lots for people to see on our stand and not just talk to our promotion and events team.
So it's so lovely to have you here and have a chat with you today. So you mentioned earlier that you do love coming to the Helmingham Hall Classic Car Show. Why is this particular car show more special than other ones you've been to?
So there's two reasons really. First off is the fact that I love the breadth of cars that are here. So whatever kind of cars you're into, or whatever kind of car you have, you know, from an Alvis to an Aventador, like, you'll find somewhere to put it, and you'll find someone that's interested in it.
Yeah.
You know, most shows you go to are either, or if you've got anything from like 1981, it's a bit too new for them, or, you know, if you bring like an old Audi Quattro, it's too old and fuddy-duddy, you know, unless it's an Aventador or it's, you know, farting fire or whatever, people just don't care. But this show has everything. The other thing is the food's really good. So I hate going to shows where you pay 10 quid for a bacon roll or a hot dog and it's rubbish. But here they've actually been really good and they get loads and loads of local suppliers. So, you know, I love the fact that just every vendor here is something local, interesting, and it's, you know, like independent businesses doing really nice stuff. So, yeah, it's the cars and the food.
You mentioned the eclectic mix. There is such an eclectic mix of cars here. So you mentioned earlier that you prefer kind of more sporty cars, is it, to review than classic cars?
To drive, to review on the channel, honestly, I'm just greedy. I will drive anything and everything. I had a great chat earlier with a chap who's parked up near where I am, who's got a 1972 Saab 9.5, which is this sort of beige estate, which is a 7-seater, all things, and it's just incredible. And you know, you guys have got some good stuff here on the stands as well. And there'll be cars, you know, you get like Mustangs and things here where you're like, yeah, you see those quite a bit, and then you just bump into oddball stuff where you just go, yeah, I forgot about those. So I just love it. I will do like a good 3 or 4 laps like throughout the day, looking at everything. And you've got a few Astons here. For some reason, this year in particular, the Aston V8 seem to be having a pretty good showing. There's one just off camera over there, which is gorgeous, and I got a bit of a thing for them. And we've even got a pair of Countach back there as well. So which is nice to see. Everything's represented here.
So going back to your channel, what do you find is kind of the most intriguing car that your viewers really want to see or want to hear about? Is there one more than other ones, do you reckon?
So it's really hard to tell. One of the things about YouTube is every time you think you've cracked it and you've worked out what the formula is, you'll be proven wrong. So about a year or two ago, I did a pair of cars owned by the same gentleman. I did his Lamborghini Diablo 6-litre, which is a childhood icon of mine. It's an amazing car. You know, everybody knows a Lamborghini, and everybody loves a Lamborghini, especially on YouTube. And the Diablo is the car for a generation, you know, that was the Lamborghini. And so I went down there to go and do that. But he also said to me at the same time, by the way, I've also got an Austin Allegro. Would you like to drive that? And I've only ever heard bad things about the Allegro. You know, that's a reputation that it has. So I said, yeah, of course I'll drive the Allegro. I want to see just how bad this really is. And the funny thing was, like, when we were filming, and we were at Lamborghini Pangbourne, and when we were filming with the Diablo, nobody cared. Nobody cared. We parked the Allegro out front, and there's a Lamborghini dealer, a Bentley dealer, and an Aston Martin dealer, and everybody was just ignoring all of those straight up to this old Austin Allegro, because, you know, it seemed like everybody's schoolmaster used to have one, or their dad had one, or something. And then, when it came to putting the videos out, the Allegro did double the views of the Diablo as well. So, and that was a car where I was like, you know what, I know nothing other than the fact everybody hates it.
Yeah.
I just want to see how bad it could possibly be. I drive it, and I enjoyed it, as apparently did my audience, which I did not expect. So, yeah.
I think it is all about the story and the meaning behind it for people with the classic. They just absolutely love that, oh, my nan used to have one of those, or like the story is really important. And I would love to know, what is your story? What got you into cars to start with?
Oh, so I mean, cars in general, I mean, I think like a lot of people, like it has to be my dad.
Yeah.
You know, he was always into cars. You know, as it turned out, where we grew up, you know, people had cars. I remember our neighbour had what I remember was an old car. You know, it was just some old car, and you know, he was always having an argument with his wife about it, because every time he started it, it'd set the smoke alarm in the house off. You know, the alarm on the car would go off in the middle of the night. Like, it was just, you know, forever a source of frustration between the pair of them. And years later, I said to my dad, like, what was that car? Because I figured he'd say it was like an old Ford or something like that. It turned out it was an Aston Martin DB5, which today, if you park that in the driveway, would be worth more than all the houses put together, you know. But back then, it was just an old car. And, you know, my granddad was a mechanic as well. So from him, I got like a fascination of how they actually work. And, you know, I remember, like, you know, being in his van with him, and because, you know, when you're kids, you have like a real inquisitive nature about you. And he was great, because kids say why a lot, and often adults get annoyed. But he was great, because I'd say to him, like, oh, so what are you working on this? You're working on a car? Yeah, it's broken. Why is it broken? Oh, well, because, you know, the fuel injector is broken. What's a fuel injector? Oh, this is a... Oh, so what's a carburetor then? What's the difference? And he would just... Yeah, he would keep going. You know, he would keep telling me and keep telling me and keep telling me. And as a child, you're like, yeah, I want to learn, I want to learn, I want to learn. So I sort of got that fascination from him. And then, of course, I grew up in the countryside. So when you grow up in the countryside, like, you need to get your driving license.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as possible, you need to get your driving license. And so, yeah, cars they've kind of come and gone over the years. Like, I lived in London for a bit, and you just can't really enjoy cars there. You can car spot, but, you know, I didn't have money at the time. And so, yeah, they've always been there. And then YouTube came 10 years after I'd started driving, when I'd been working in film, and I got kind of tired of that. But I always liked cars, and I knew how to make films, so
you merged them together?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was kind of screwed, really. You know, I had one choice of career. You know, I know how to use a camera, I know how to edit, and I can talk a lot about cars. Like, really, it was, you know, it was destiny, I suppose.
It seems like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, feels like it.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, it's so great to kind of like hear about the man behind the channel as well, like learn your story about how you've fallen in love with cars. And like you, I love vintage stuff because of my granddad. He always used to take me to all the 1940s events and things like that. So it's lovely how it kind of goes through the family.
Oh yeah, no, it is, and that's the thing with all of these cars. Like, you know, I review cars, I talk about how they drive and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to a classic in particular, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If someone owns the most awful, horrible crock that is just nasty to drive, it doesn't matter. Because if it means something to them, and if it's special to them, that is the only thing that's of interest. And actually, to be honest, some of the stuff that I'm most fascinated with is stuff here that you'd be like, these weren't very good cars, were they? Big? No, they were terrible, but I love them because, you know, and yeah, that's what it's all about.
Definitely. And can I just ask you to end, which one of these cars would be the actual pinnacle for you to review if you could review any today?
Oh, the ones on the stand?
Oh yeah, go for one of ours.
Well, actually, I tell you what. So there's a gorgeous bright yellow Lotus Europa over there, and I have driven one of those before. And the Lotus Europa is the best handling driving car just ever. Like, not even new old. Like, it's just, I've never driven anything of any age that's as sweet and as delicate as that. Like, people talk about cars having telepathic handling. Like, no, that one does. That one really does. That's special. Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited because I think it might be a competition car, and I get to drive the competition cars. So if you think that's a good one, I'm going to look forward to it very much. But thank you so much for talking to me, James.
Thank you.
Here at British Classic Cars, we are not... you may know us, or me in particular, from our classic car competitions, but that is not the only thing that we do. First and foremost, we are a classic car restoration company, which is... How long has that been going on for, Craig?
20 years.
20
Mad
years.
to think it's 20 years. So I think it's the 20th, it's coming up to the 20th year, or it is the 20th year. 2004, that's when we started. So yeah, it's crazy to think it's... and it didn't start off restorations. I mean, it started purely because I grew up around my dad having classic cars, getting cars restored. He didn't restore them himself, but we did modern cars and the sales of. And then decided we would go into restorations, and it's just built up from there. But yeah, 20 years on now.
What's really exciting is, because you have built such an amazing name for yourselves, we have some very exciting cars come through our workshop. And recently we have just had a Jaguar SS100 enter the doors at Pettistry in the workshops. It is an epic car and a very, very special moment. How did it feel for you?
Oh, it's incredible. We're used to the replicas because we're quite close to one of the companies that used to build the replicas, so we've seen them, but to have an original in was a bit surreal, and it was a moment that a lot of people came out to look at, so yeah.
Oh my goodness, well, me and Freddie, we were heading off to go and shoot another car. I think we were going to shoot a TVR, and you popped around the corner.
Yeah,
and
you were
said,
driving off, weren't you?
Yeah.
I was like, wait, because something's just arrived.
You were like, stop, something has arrived, you need to get out of the car now and come and have a look at it. And this is that moment that we would love to share with you. So we were just about to go off to do some filming at Bentwaters, but we have been told about an extremely rare car that is going to be in our care for a little while. Now, so we don't know anything else about it, so I'm now going to run and find Gordon and ask him all about this car that has just arrived. Gordon, what have we got?
An SS100 Jaguar, an original one. There's lots of replicas around, but this is an original car.
Everybody's faces have just lit up when they've seen that come off the trailer. So Gordon, what is the first thing we're going to do with this car?
Well, I think first of all, I think it's worth saying that we've been lucky enough to have some beautiful cars in our workshop, but today I think we've surpassed it completely with what we've just, what's just arrived with us now. It's just beautiful, it sounds beautiful. The owner who we're in talks with at the moment would like us to look after this car, and he, as you can see by the side decal, the Milia, this car is used, it goes all over the world. And he lives in California, so he's looking for a company to look after the car, and then we're now going to get it road ready for its first trip to Ireland. So we'll be in the next week making sure everything's okay, and then she'll go up to Holyhead, where we'll meet the customer. He'll go on the ferry across and he'll do a tour of Ireland, Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland. We'll meet him back at Holyhead, and then we'll bring it back, and then we don't know what will happen next. We're certainly looking at supporting it in the Millie next year, which is very exciting for us, something we haven't done or haven't had the opportunity to do, and something we would relish the thought even of just going to watch that race. So yeah, the sky's the limit with this really, and I hope that we can do our normal good job for the customer, and he'll want to stick with us in the future to look after his car. But as I've said, what a fantastic motor car to be arriving at Bridge Classic Cars today. We'll check it over now and see what we need to do, if anything. I do think that in the last trip it had a few brake problems, so we'll look at that first of all, and then we'll go right through the car and make it tour ready for the customer who's obviously going to be winging his way over from California to go and drive his beautiful car.
Brilliant. Well, a very exciting morning here for us at Bridge Classic Cars.
Certainly is, certainly is.
I am now welcoming Nick to the sofa. So, Nick, we've just come out of watching the video of the SS100 arriving. Yeah. How did you feel when you saw that come into the workshop?
Well, I mean, as a petrol head, any time you get to see a car that's as iconic and legendary as an SS100, especially a true SS100, it's a special moment for all of us. I mean, we have some amazing stuff that comes through the workshop, some really amazing historic stuff, but that, I mean, Emilia qualifying mostly all original SS100, it's different day. Completely different day.
It's really cool. I just can remember everyone kind of hearing the engine and everyone kind of appearing from all over the place, coming out of the fab shop, out of the paint shop, people appearing out of the workshop.
Yeah, we all came up through the floor, pretty much. Yeah. Well, it's one of those special things that you don't get to see very often. I mean, that's another great thing about where we are now.
Yeah.
Is you go around and you see, you know, like over there was a Triumph in just the normal parking. There was an early 30s Triumph prototype. And I was looking, I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. Right next to it was an all-restored Land Rover Series 2.
Well, yeah, and the person I've just spoken to, they've got a prototype of the Marauder as well.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. Like, these cars are so rare, some of them, which is really, really exciting.
It's amazing.
So Nick, you
Yes.
do a lot of our kind of behind the scenes shooting, and you have got something very exciting to tell us about. So we have got an Aston Martin AMV8 at the moment,
Yes.
haven't we?
Yeah, we
in
have.
The workshops.
It's a car that's quite special to me, mainly just because I fell in love with that shape when I was a kid. So when Gordon came into our office and went, oh, I need you to shoot the AMV8 for its auction run, he was like, yes, I'll do that. Absolutely, I'll do that. But you know, I've spoken to lots of people here today, and sort of I'm incredibly lucky and privileged to have the job that Craig and Freddie put in my hands to take photos of amazing cars like our AMV8. Like today, I'm sat in the sun on a sofa with my friend, surrounded by my friends, and I get to take photos of amazing cars for a living. You know, we're very, very lucky.
We are very lucky, and we want to show you guys now this beautiful Aston Martin AMV8 behind the scenes. So take a look at this.
Check this out.
What are you up to today, Nick?
Shooting our AMV8 before it goes to auction. We've also got our 1938 Vauxhall Wingham Cabriolet, which was shot right here about a week ago.
Oh, no hands. You're going to have fun editing those later.
Right. Lovely, isn't it, Freddie?
It's lovely.
So that was the behind the scenes of the AMV8. But now I'm going to have a little chat about this beautiful car behind me. So behind me we have our 1968 Jaguar E-Type Series 1.5. Now this is a very special car, isn't it, Gordon?
It is a very special car. So we managed to get hold of this car as a part restoration. It was a father and son restoration that stalled due to the father getting quite ill, and that's always a very, very difficult situation. Yeah, it was painted. The running gear was on. The engine had been completely refurbished. So we bought the car in that situation, and then we put it back together. So the engine was out of the car. So we put the whole thing back together, and we've quickly realised that the paintwork was not really up to our standard. We decided to take it into the paint shop. We stripped it back down. Obviously it wasn't a bare metal, it wasn't required. So we then repainted it, engine in, and rebuilt it. And then somebody said, wouldn't it be great if we did this as a competition car, and I really need it by this sort of date, so I can now photograph it, and we can get it ready for Helmingham. That's always a challenge. So we tried our best, and we got it all back together, and I was given a deadline as well that we're going to be doing like a 40-odd day competition, so that took the heat off a little bit. That we made it look beautiful, and then we had time to finish off the little tiny bits and pieces afterwards. That wasn't the case because it went live, and within I think 2 days we sold half the tickets.
Yeah.
So there will be pressure. I'm sure this is going to be a sellout, a sellout fairly quickly. We've probably got about 2 to 3 weeks work. We've got to do the door rubbers, but we also got to put the housing for the door rubbers. We've got to do all of the running up, we've got no fluids in the car, but all of these things will come together quite quickly, quite nicely, and I'm pretty confident in 4 weeks' time, which will probably be now after we've drawn it and have a very, very lucky new winner, we'll be able to deliver it, in about 4 or 5 weeks' time.
Amazing. I mean, this is so exciting because this is the first competition car that you guys have fully restored to be a competition car.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we pride ourselves on our restorations, and I think whoever gets this car is going to be a very, very happy person. I mean, it's got a complete new trim. As I say, it's got new paintwork. It's the chrome work has all been redone by us as well. Everything's got to be right, and we want the customer to be able to, the competition winner, to be able to enjoy it.
Definitely, and there is no doubt that they are going to enjoy this car. I mean, it has been turning so many heads here today, and we can't stress. So at the time of filming now, it's been live for what? Is it 2 days?
Yeah.
To our subscribers first.
Yeah.
And it has nearly sold out half of it already. So there's only half the amount of tickets left. So we cannot stress how popular this car has been, and it has definitely been popular today.
Well, we did various things through the launch, which was to try and give people the chance of what colour they would like the car, what colour they would like the interior. And one of the things that we had chrome wheels on the car, and they were beautiful, but they just weren't up to that standard of what you would expect on a new car. So no expense spared. We have renewed all the wheels, we've renewed all the tyres, so brand new exhaust system. I mean, everything really is as you would expect to come to British Classic Cars for a restoration.
Yeah, well, definitely. It is a beautiful car. And now what we're going to do is we're going to show you a video of all of the little tiny niggly bits coming together to make this car as beautiful as it is behind me.
Morning, Brian. So what are we looking at here?
So this is the rear seat of the E-Type. This is the base, and then this bit is the squab, which goes at the back, and that will sit something like that when it's all done. I think it kind of was originally red. This is slightly different, but it was a red to start with. So
It was
yeah.
red on blue.
Yeah.
So these original panels,
Yeah.
what are you
these
going to be
all
doing with these?
Yeah. Anything that we can reuse, we'll reuse. And then some bits come to us already made. These we'll put the foam back on, paint them, put the foam back on, and then we'll cover them in new material.
How much of this came already made to shape, or how much of it did you have to adapt and change?
It's just the cover that came. This is the original frame underneath. So we've repaired any springs that come loose. We've joined all those back up again. So what I'm going to do is attach this to the metal frame. So we use these hog rings. So what I have to do is just fold the material over. We usually double it up to make it thicker. Then we wrap it around the bar and then put the ring around the bar. Like that, hold on. And we just work away.
Nice and tall.
Yeah, then we just work our way around the whole frame, doing it like that.
Our Jaguar E-Type being put all back together, ready for competition, which is going to be very exciting, and it has sold lots of tickets so far.
Crazy. I've just been talking to some people that are asking all about competitions and how it all works, and asking about the car. It's done really well. Was it over half sold within, what, 24 hours?
Crazy. So if you did want to grab tickets, I suggest you do it now. If they're not already gone, I don't know. At the time of filming, we've got half left, but we don't know what's going to happen.
Over half, isn't it now? Over half sold, so under half left.
Oh gosh, there we go. I am standing here with Martin, who has just won Best in Show here at the Helmingham Hall Festival of Classic and Sports Cars. Martin, how does it feel?
Wonderful. Really, really good. This the first time I've been to this event, and to win that prize, brilliant.
So please do tell us about your gorgeous car, so your Marauder. Tell us more about it.
Marauder, yes. Well, Marauder was built between 1950 and 1952. 3 chaps left Rover and wanted to pursue a career building sports cars. And this is based upon the the Rover 75 of 1950. So all the running gear and mechanics are from that vehicle.
Oh, amazing. And it definitely has obviously caught lots of people's eye today, considering you have just won Best in Show. It is an absolutely beautiful car. It really is.
Thank you very much.
I am now welcoming Brian to the sofa. So hello, Brian.
Hello.
So you're kind of known as Mr. Helmingham now, I think.
Probably, yes. It seems like after 8 years of doing the commentaries and the judging, it does tend to go like that. I'm dressed a bit strange because we do a best dress competition and I'm trying to generate a bit more interest in that.
Oh gosh, yes. Well, I think you look fabulous. I'd dress like that every day if I could.
Yeah, great. And why not?
So we've been hearing your voice over the tannoy all day today, looking at the cars, talking about all the different cars. What has been your most favourite car that you have seen here today?
Oh, it's so difficult because the quality and the diversity is really difficult at this event. But one car I particularly like was the Marauder, which is quite a rarity, and also the Lee Francis Lynx, which is a really rare car. Only 2 were produced, and that car I actually inspected about 2 years ago when it was first restored. Inspected it and valued it for its insurance purposes. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, when you were doing the car run where all the cars come up and walk around, it seems like you have such a wealth of knowledge, Brian. Is that your 8 years experience or did you have experience before that?
Well, my whole life I've been a car nut, really. Right from a small child, I think the third word I learnt was car. And anything with an engine, really, I love. My other passion is historic aircraft, so between the two I bore the pants off of people, but it's something that I love and really enjoy doing. And I suppose over the years, because I've enjoyed doing it, I've learnt more and more. I'm a bit of a sponge, really. I read about something or whatever and I retain that knowledge. Yeah, so yeah, brilliant.
Amazing. And well, it's been such a fun day. What is your most favourite part of the day, I guess? Because there's lots of different elements to the day, isn't there?
Going home. No, I'm only joking. Oh, it's so difficult. I think it's really talking to people about their cars, and there's so many lovely stories. It's the car they might be talking about might not be outstanding, but it's the history, or it was owned by someone, or it did this. My own car is a 1937 Wolseley, and in World War II it was used by the Army Intelligence Corps as a surveillance car in London, so it spied on the spies. So that's what's so interesting about cars, really. It's not just the specification or who made them, it's really about the individual story behind that car.
Definitely, and I feel like stories like that, especially with classic car enthusiasts, they can really resonate with everyone. Like, for example, having a certain car where everyone's like, oh, well, my mum used to have one of those, and I've got a story about me driving to Scotland on a holiday in one of those. And I feel like that part of the classic car world is really important.
It's nostalgia.
Yeah.
I think, all of us up to a certain age have got such memories of cars and, like you say, family holidays or going to see grandma or going to school in it or whatever, first job, or it's about nostalgia. And I think British people were very nostalgic, not just about cars, but if you start talking about radio programs or TV programs or even the types of sweets they had when they was kids. They ramble on for ages, and I think that's one of the great things about Britain, really, is because we do love our history, especially cars. And you think about all the different makes of cars, in the 30s and just after World War II, there was like hundreds of them. So every car was slightly different, and that's what makes it so interesting.
Definitely, definitely. And I think there is such an eclectic mix of cars here as well. Like, a couple of other people that I've spoken to have said that. That's what they absolutely love about this show, is that you've got your car clubs with all different types of car, but then you've got such a different mix when they're all just kind of scattered all together, which is really special.
One of the hardest things is, judging. I mean, I don't have a lot of time to judge, but I try and do it in a fair and organised way. But when you're judging sort of like, I don't know, an XR3 1970s or 80s, and then the next car you're looking at is a 1919, it's really quite diverse and quite difficult. Yeah.
Can I ask you, what are you looking for when you are judging the cars? What is the kind of thing that makes you tick, that makes you think, yes, I'm going to go for this one this year?
Obviously presentation. If it's original, it's got to be good. If it's been restored to what standard it's been restored to. I particularly like original specifications, or if it has been modified, it's been modified in a way that doesn't detract from what it was.
Yeah.
And that's really it, really. And sometimes the story behind the actual car might swing it one way or another.
Amazing. And I've got to ask you, just as you're here, what do you think about our Jaguar E-Type behind me?
Well, I think, wow, what a prize. I particularly like the coupe, and this is a coupe, and I love that colour. That is, and with the chrome wheels, it's what a prize for someone, you know, brilliant.
Definitely.
I can't win it because I've got nowhere to put it, but I'd love to win it.
So someone who does win it is going to be very lucky indeed.
I think so. I'm not really green with envy, but yeah, it is gorgeous. It is a gorgeous car.
Oh, thank you so much. And Brian, will we see you again next year?
I hope so. They're already talking about what we're going to do next year, so obviously their intention is to include me. I hope so, because I really love the show. Fellow car enthusiasts are always decent people to talk to. So lovely, like yourself.
Oh, bless you. Well, thank you so much for having a chat with us, and hopefully we'll see you again next year where it's sunny all day and we won't get rained on.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you so much. But we have had the best day here. There has been a couple of rainy showers, but that has not dampened our spirits at all. It's not dampened our spirits at all. Have you had a good day?
It's been brilliant, and the turnouts, I was really unsure what the turnout would be, but the turnout's been superb, really good. So yeah, as our first year as main sponsor, the estate management team have been over, they've thanked us, they've been pleased with what we've done, which is good. So hopefully next year we'll be back in the same spot. But it's like everything we do, is try and be bigger and better next year. That's the plan. So we'll see.
But we have had an absolutely fantastic day. Thank you to everybody at Helmingham Hall and everybody who has come to visit our stall or bought tickets on our cars. It's been so lovely to meet you all, and hopefully we'll see you all again next year. Goodbye.
Bye.